What's going on, chess friends? It's Rafi Chowdhury here, and today I'm here with a live chess game for you guys. We are playing a player that is rated roughly about 2050, and looks like he might be. Oh, he made a move in the last second. I thought he was not gonna continue. So it's a 30-15 game, meaning 30 minutes and 15 seconds of increment. So he started playing the game with we started with c4. He played e5. So we're gonna go ahead and develop our pawn to g3. The idea being we're gonna go ahead and put the bishop on the long diagonal on g2 and go ahead and start hitting the black queen side with the move bishop to g2. So he plays knight to c6 here. So we're gonna go ahead and follow up with bishop to g2. And our idea is going to be to play knight to c3, knight to f3, castles on the king side. Let me play d3. So he went ahead and played f5, which is kind of like a Dutch style of play against the English. So here, I think knight c3 is a move. Knight f3 might be possible, but d3 makes a lot of sense as well, just stopping this e4 idea. So I'm going to go ahead and if knight f3, e4, I don't like that idea. If d3, I think I like the idea of d3 first. But then there's this bishop b4 check. If d3, bishop b4 check, I can play bishop d2 to block that check. Um, I'm thinking maybe to play something like knight c3, d3, knight f3, castle. So with that all being said, I think I'm fine with the move bishop b4. If bishop b4, bishop d2, bishop takes, I can also play knight to c3 if he doesn't take. If he plays something like queen e7, he's got ideas of playing knight f6, bishop c5, castling on the king side as well. Nutritious drink, milk. So yeah, several ideas for black here. Obviously, yeah, knight f6 makes sense, a lot of sense. Bishop c5 makes a lot of sense here as well. He can even play b6, bishop b7 maybe. But actually right now it doesn't look that good to play that kind of style. So he probably might play something like d5, knight f6, things like that. The move that I'm calculating here is bishop b4 check, bishop d2. Also, he has knight f6. Many possibilities here. And these kind of structures with the Dutch defense, a lot of times black is trying to actually control these dark squares here, whereas in the English setup, that like we have, we're trying to control these light squares here. Let's go ahead and check out his other stats here. So he is looks like rated 1916 rapid in blitz. He hasn't played any games at all. Looks like he only plays classical chess. about 2000 in puzzles also. Pretty strong player. Oh, he's played a lot of classical chess games, actually. Wow. Hmm. So he plays knight to f6 here. Yeah, the idea is obviously to go ahead and play something like challenging these squares a little bit more. So I might just play the natural knight to f3 here, maybe putting some pressure on e5, guarding the d4 square. If knight f3, he plays. If knight f3, e4 takes. I can play knight d2. I think his pawn is going to be overextended. So I think I'm pretty okay playing this move. I feel pretty good about it. So I'm expecting bishop b4 check. I have bishop d2. If he takes, I can take back with the queen. Play my knight to c3 castle. Still a pretty good development here. Also knight g5 followed by knight to f7 is a potential threat. Also this diagonal is pretty weak for him. I wonder if I should have played maybe knight c3 and tried to stop this d5 idea, but for one more move at least. So if d5, c takes d, knight takes d, castles, bishop check. Should be okay in these positions, I think. We're going to go ahead and capture this pretty quickly, and we're going to go ahead and get castled up. So we're kind of playing like a sort of like a reverse Sicilian dragon, where we have the white pieces. We also have ideas of pressuring his center later. Knight c3 comes to mind immediately right now. So he plays bishop e7, so he's planning on castling pretty quickly here. Thinking maybe knight c3 now. If he takes, we take back. We've got good control of the center squares. If he doesn't take, then we might have some tactical shots if knight takes d5, followed by maybe knight g5 or knight takes e5 sometime in the future. What other moves is there to consider? Queen b3, knight takes e5, queen b3. I don't know how I feel about putting the queen in that kind of square this early in the game. So we're going to go ahead and develop our knight. If he castles, we can probably play. Do we have any tactical shots with takes d5, queen takes, knight g5, followed by queen b3? Maybe. You might take on c3 first, then castle. Plays bishop e6 first. Interesting idea. Does queen b3 work here? If I play queen b3 right now? Takes on c3, we take on e6. Plays bishop queen here. Hmm. I'm wondering about something like a3 followed by queen c2 and rook d1. But I don't like the idea of knight d4 after queen c2, so that's not going to be fun. You can also just play bishop d2, rook c1, just play natural developing moves here. Queen b3, I'm still looking at that move a little bit. There's knight f4. Queen takes b7, there's rook b1. But then I can take on c6, so that's not going to work. It just doesn't feel like a natural move, really, queen b3. I don't know. Might work. Queen b3, knight a5, queen b5 check, c6. Queen to a4. Queen a4 check right away, actually. I'm afraid he can play queen to d7 after queen b3. Then if I take here, he plays rook to b8, and I think that position is just not going to be fun for me to play that. He's going to get a lot of play actually down the b file and everything, and I'm going to be kind of slightly falling behind in development. Let's play bishop d2. The idea is to play rook c1, trade the knights, and start putting pressure on c6. I have to worry about my a2 pawn, of course. Being a potential weakness at some point. So he wants to castle on the queen side here. Maybe knight g5 now. If he takes, we take. Excuse me. Excuse me. Knight g5 takes, we take h6, bishop back to d2. He's got g5, and he can get his pawns rolling, but we get the bishop pair, and we're going to play for a long-term idea here. We're also trading some pieces off, so I think I feel pretty confident playing a move like knight to g5 here. And if he does take on c3, we can actually take back with the pawn. Bishop g8 is maybe a move potentially here as well. I don't know if it's a good move or not, but I don't think he would do that. I think he's going to take the knight. See here. Took on here. I see. We don't have much choice but to take this way. But I think this trade helps me because now my bishop is wide open, and I don't know, I just feel like pieces are opening up very quickly now. Probably take the knight now. Because now he is going to have some trouble castling also on the queen side. I don't think he will castle on the queen side anymore now that these pieces are all opened up here. I've got the b file to work with. Queen can slide into a4 any second. Point the bishop this way as well. So I think I've got pretty good play here on the queen side. Pretty sure he's going to end up castling on the king side now and try to put some pressure down this side of the board here. But either way, we're getting the one of the bishops, getting rid of the bishop pair, and we're having the bishop pair. Otherwise, he could play bishop d5. If I play here e4, takes we take. Bishop c4 is there. Rook e1. Castle's queenside maybe. Putting pressure on d2. There's definitely some complications here after bishop d5. What if I take it? Queen takes. This bishop d5 is a good idea. It's a good move. I didn't really calculate it too much. If e4, f takes, pawn takes. No, if e4 takes, knight takes is there as well. I don't think that's helping me too much. e4 takes, c4, rook e1, castle's queenside. I could take and play queen b3 also. Force a trade of queens. Because if he doesn't take it, I mean, he's going to have a lot of problems on these light squares. Pretty sure he'll take it. And go for that. Go ahead and take it, and then play queen b3. So after queen takes d5, queen b3, if he castles, I have queen knight to f7, forking his rook, two rooks. The queen will indirectly be protecting the f7 square. If he takes the knight, I can take on c6, he takes back, then I take this. And I would have been up a piece, I believe, so he couldn't do that. I think now queen b3 makes a lot of sense. And if he takes the b3 pawn, then I've fixed my pawn structure. I've kind of have pressure over on down the a file, and just overall position looks pretty solid. I've got no weaknesses in that position. So castling queenside would be a huge mistake here. If somehow he doesn't see it, the threat of knight to f7, I'm sure he'll see it. So what else could he do here? He can play queen 2, queen b8, mate. Nah, they can, because then I'm taking on b7. So he pretty much has to trade queens with me here. Maybe h6, knight f3, e4, knight e1. Yeah, so I don't see any in between moves, so I'm gonna go ahead and take here. Does he have this kind of move here? Okay. So he chose to go ahead and get castled up. Can I play this? Rook c8. I definitely like the idea of making his rook passive on c8, but I'm also afraid that there is an idea of potentially getting my knight trapped. So knight e6, rook c8, b5, b4. If he attacks my knight, I can play knight to c5. If he takes, I take back. I've got the doubled pawns. Whether they're good or bad is something to consider. Can those doubled pawns be attacked is the question. I don't know. If h6, knight f3. Knight e6, rook c8, bishop g5. What do I gain from trading bishops is the question, not really anything. I'm trying to figure out a way to keep my knight very active is the idea here. What square can I put it to get the maximum activity? Thinking of moves like e4, but then I don't want to weaken the d3 pawn either. Hmm. Could also play b4 followed by b5. b4 h6 though. Knight e6, rook c8. b5. Knight. Here after b5 he's gonna play a6. That's the thing. But I like this move, b6, b5 anyway. Just limiting the possibilities of this knight and bishop as much as possible. I don't like the look of bishop f6, however, in this position. That looks kind of like an annoying move. But after, I think bishop f6, I can always play knight e6 followed by knight c5. So knight e6, now rook c8. Then if I play b5, he takes, I take the rook. He takes, then I take on c7. Can I play knight e6, knight c8, then rook b1 now? If rook c8, knight c5 right away, maybe. It's possible. Possibilities there, for sure. But I like the idea of playing rook to b1 first and slowly improving this position. Because after rook b1, I also have the idea of playing c4 followed by b5. I think rook to b1 makes the most logical sense right now. If king f7, knight c5, bishop takes, pawn takes, we're hitting b7 again. If king to f7, we can also play knight g5 check in the event that we don't want to trade on. That might actually not be a bad idea, not trading the knights, but instead slowly playing for a push of c4 and b4. c4 and b5. Let's calculate this move first. If knight c5, bishop takes, pawn takes. He'll play rook b8. Actually, after this check, knight c5, bishop takes, pawn takes c5. I'm afraid if I allow this doubled pawns, he can play king always to d5. And maybe potentially pick up the pawn. I just can't imagine that c5 pawn being a strength of any type anytime soon. I don't know though. Though I don't like the alternative route that much at all. I'm gonna go ahead and go for this. The alternative route would basically entail me wasting a bunch of time moving the knight around, and I don't like that. I'd rather keep my pieces active. You're the two open files for my rooks. So he blocks that way. Let's go ahead and get our rooks a little bit more active. Because with his knight there, he's definitely limited in his mobility. He's blocked his own pieces in. Like, I don't see what he's doing with his pieces right now. They all seem extremely passive. Hmm. If we play bishop g5, he plays rook b8. He takes rook b1. Yep, he's playing very, very aggressive stuff here. I wonder if we can somehow take advantage of his king placement. His king is terribly placed right now in the middle of the board. I feel like he's just really activated it a lot. And I'm trying to see if I can be punished that somehow. Maybe something like bishop to e3 or pawn e3 even, followed by c4. I feel like after e3, c4 is definitely coming now. The idea is to, yeah, play c4 or something like that and just have a really strong grip on this side of the board. Maybe get our king into the game as well. Maybe king somewhere on c3 or something. Bishop blockading. He doesn't have any play, really. I mean, he can play something like this eventually. On here, all the way to here. He's got those kind of ideas. The whole thing is that we have the active pieces and he doesn't have any sort of activity with his pieces whatsoever. It's the main thing in this position. Wow. He decides to go for a sacrifice of the pawn on b7. But doesn't this lead to a devastating blow? If I play c4 check, pretty much has to go to e6. Then I have d5 check. He's losing the knight. I mean, let's go for it. Why not? Just simple, easy win. After playing so well, I can't believe he fell for this kind of a move. Huge blunder. I mean, I could have just taken here too, even. But I think he was calculating he could play this, but he can't even play that because I take this. Not sure what his thought process was there. Just winning everything now. I believe I can double up and win this a6 pawn now. But there's no rush for that. Let me improve my king position first. Actually, I can play bishop to d4 and completely block this for good. So let's go ahead and improve our bishop position first. Let's get this guy rolling. And now let's improve our king position. Actually, let's keep pressure on the c7 pawn so he can't move anything. That's a better idea. I believe we can just simply win this pawn now. Let's use this time to improve our king position. Well, yeah, sure. Let's get this king into the game. Ooh, he wants to bring the other rook back into the game. But I don't think we need to worry about that right now too much. Because we can always play bishop d5 and he has to bring his rook back and trade or trade one of the rooks off. And if he has to do either, then we're pretty much winning. So for example, now here, he's forced to trade a pair of rooks with us. Or that. And now we just continue developing our king to better squares. The idea is just to let him keep advancing the pawn if he wants, because our bishop is always going to be guarding the queening square, and we've got 3 pieces that are going to be help here to stop advancing the pawn. So I'm just basically saying that if he advances this pawn any further, it's going to just become a weakness. It's not going to be a strength by any means. Like, it's just going to be taken off the board here pretty shortly. Because he will only have 2 defenders of the pawn, and we're going to have 3 attackers no matter how you look at it, and we have the bishop as well. So 4 attackers to 2 defenders. So he tries to go for this pawn now. And we definitely don't want to give him that pawn. I'm thinking king b4 actually wins the pawn. We've got quite a few ways to win this position now. I think bishop takes c7 might be the strongest of them. If king c8, then we just take this rook, and if he takes that rook, we're picking up the pawn next move also, and it's just simply winning. Oh gosh, I didn't see that move. Oh man, did we blunder? Did we blunder a piece here? If king c3, then king c8, rook b1, a2. If king c8, we can play check. Oh gosh, even then we're actually losing a piece. check, he takes, we take. We'll win this pawn at the end of every line. Man, just like that, we lost a piece. We don't have time. 135 left. Man, what a winning game and what a blunder by us. Just dropping the bishop, not calculating deeply. Just in a crucial position. Wow. Just crazy. The problem with this position is that our extra pawn is doubled. Ugh, terrible. Went from completely winning position to a lost position. Maybe potentially even lost, actually. This is his rook is getting activated here shortly. And then we've got only a minute left in time on the clock. Man. Probably he will check. But I don't know if he can get his rook activated because we're taking all of his pawns too. After check, we take the h7 pawn. Gosh, I don't know. It's completely... Shoot. If check, king c3, then rook b1, check. If he takes, we take. Plays king b7. If he goes the king pawn endgame, I don't know. He has to do a lot of calculating here before he can decide if he wants to go into this king pawn endgame or not. Yeah, that was expected. Thinking maybe we can try to tag those pawns this way now. Let's improve our king just a little bit. Let's attack this guy first. Man. I'm trying everything I can try to get my king here somehow, into here. If we could somehow walk our king inside of here, then we're going to win this position, I think. Yeah, I don't know if this was a good idea by black. Because we're just walking in now. My pawns are way too much closer to the queening side than his pawns are. Do we want to defend? Why not? We've got a great position. Why not defend the whole thing? King is way better now. Good move. Again, the idea is to play king here and then king d7, so he doesn't have this check skewering our king and rook. Why give up that pawn? Let's go ahead and save that guy also. Now we're winning the game, I believe. King here, he plays here, we push. He takes, we push. There's nothing stopping him from. Wow, what a move. Goodness. Oh my gosh, how do we miss this move? Takes, push, push, push. Queens with check here. At least we get our queen back. We may have to go for the draw here. Check. Man, unfortunate. I think very unfortunate. We had a completely won game, and then just total mistakes, just last second blunders. Anyway, let's analyze the game and see what we could have done better. So yeah, so this is all book. The opening was completely played by book. Knight c3, yeah, definitely the better move here, I think. But this is fine too. Queen b3 was definitely the idea, like as I was calculating in the game. Well, we played knight c3, bishop e6. Computer likes the move h4 as an interesting move, definitely. So a3 was played in the game between Movsesian and Pankuratov, 2016. Played bishop d2 here. Played queen d7. Played knight g5. Apparently bishop takes g5 was not a bad move to play here. I guess that makes sense. He took, I took. These are all inaccuracies, by the way. Queen bishop might move bishop d2. Knight g5 is an inaccuracy. And he played an inaccuracy as well. Then this, and okay, e4. Apparently I have an advantage here, wow. But I didn't like the line with e4, f takes e4. What if, hold on a second, how is this an advantage for me? Oh, c4 first. My gosh, the in-between move then takes back. Didn't even consider this idea. Interesting line. Anyway, he took, like queen b3, takes, castles. b4 apparently is an inaccuracy as well. Knight e6 is better. Played this. It really likes knight e6 because it ties down the rook right away. That makes sense. Now f4, interesting idea. I didn't really want to go for playing on the king side so much. I wanted to play on the queen side, so I played rook here. King f7. Yeah, knight c5 was the right decision to go for that kind of a bind on black's queen side. He took, I took. Played that. Now I feel like in this position I've got quite a bit of advantage here. I mean, these pieces are just not able to move at all. Played this move, rook, activating the rook and doubling up on the b file. He started bringing this king in. I don't know if this was the best idea right away because there's still too many pieces on the board for him to be able to come in and bring, actively use that king without it coming under a lot of fire. Brought this king in even further. So I played d4 here. And when he played e4, I felt like, man, this position's got to be good for me now. I've got everything going for myself. So now computer likes lots of moves like rook a4, etc. I don't know, rook a4. What's the idea there? In any case, I played the more human-like move, just e3. And this is just straight up a blunder. Completely winning now. For being up 5.8, I can't believe I couldn't finish this win. It's crazy. Just poor technique here by me. Every move would have won in this game. Like, it's hard to lose this. Such a simple move. Rook takes c7 check, and I'm just completely winning here. Totally missed this rook to a4 check. Completely missed it. Man, look at that. 7.8 to 0. Wow. Wow, it doesn't even like the idea of me taking the pawn right away. Interesting. Now I'm completely winning again. After he didn't trade rooks. That's crazy. Lost all my advantage here. The idea is rook d8, rook d6. Simple idea. Both of us really misevaluated this position, apparently, because this just keeps going back and forth, the evaluation. Completely winning position for me. And then I completely missed this check. Gosh. I'm still winning here. How in the world? That's crazy. Wow, I'm just simply queening. That's crazy. He can't stop me anything at all from queening this pawn right away. Instead, I took a draw here. Wow. Man. In a totally winning position, I took a freaking draw. I don't know why I was so scared of these passed pawns, thinking that they're going to become queens and I won't be able to, like, I'm completely winning here. Very poor game. Very, very, very poorly played game, honestly, is what I can say about this one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it regardless, and I'm sorry that this was just a bad game from my side, but luckily we didn't end up losing the position. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys in the next game.